So today, let's get raw, real, and personal as I go over some of the money mistakes that I actually made so you don't have to make them. Coming up. Hey everyone, welcome to The Journey of Finance. My name is Cedric and I'm a creative entrepreneur, a filmmaker, a commercial model, and I have a passion for personal finance. And today's video is gonna be a little bit different because it's gonna be a little less scripted, and I just wanna have a heart-to-heart with everyone and really just go over some of the mistakes that I made on my journey when it comes to personal finances. Now, one of the reasons why I'm doing this video is because the past month has been extremely busy for me, and I'm getting back in the swing of making videos, and I'm super excited to do that, but I wanted to start off with something a little more simple and just speak from the heart. So if you appreciate this content and me being very personal with you in order to help you on your journey, then do me a favor, hit that like button, and also if you haven't subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe button. So when I named this channel The Journey of Finance, it was very intentional because I realized that every single one of us, we're all on a journey when it comes to our personal finances, and everyone's journey is different. Nobody's journey is a straight path. I mean, we all have bumps in the road, we all have detours, but ultimately, our end goal is the same, and that's to achieve and reach a destination of financial independence and financial freedom. So with that in mind, I wanna share a little bit about my journey because you know, my journey when it comes to finances has not been the smoothest, let's say, and I'm definitely nowhere near my goals. But the point is, I am trying to achieve financial independence at this point, minimizing as many mistakes as possible. So hopefully many of you who are watching, you might be able to find some sort of, I don't know, connection, or you can relate to some of the stories that I'm gonna share and some of my experiences. And if you're in a place where you feel like, you know what, I'm making some mistakes in my personal finances, that's okay because it's never too late to turn it around. So let's talk about my 20s. Now for context, I am 36 years old at this point, even though I may not look like it. I'm a couple years removed from my 20s, but I wanna share a little bit about how I was when it came to money in my 20s. Now, I went to college just like anyone else, and like a lot of people do, I took out student loans to fund my education. And at that point, you know, being 20, 21, around that age, I had literally zero financial education. I didn't have any sort of money or personal finance class in high school, and definitely in college, I didn't have any. I don't even know if they were even offered to me outside of a finance-based major. I just was pretty much like many other people. You go throughout the education system without having any formal training on money or how to manage your personal finances. And so I graduated college with a bunch of debt, as you can imagine, just like many of you. And that was, I guess you can consider it a mistake in a sense. Well, it's easy to call it a mistake, hindsight, because of what I know now, but at that point, I just thought that was the norm. I just thought that everyone took out student loans, and obviously the point of getting an education is to be able to get a good job, to be able to make good money so that you can eventually pay back the loans. Now that's in a perfect world. We know that it doesn't really work out like that. So I would say that was my first major money mistake, and I didn't even know I was making the mistake at the time. So I'm kicking off my 20s with a boatload of debt. At this point, I'm trying to find a job and really start my career. So throughout my 20s, after I graduated college, I really didn't know what I wanted to do with my life. I mean, I had a couple of ideas and I was sort of pursuing different paths that ultimately didn't work out, and I realized, you know what, this isn't for me. But during that time, I remember always working 2 jobs. I would have my main job that was full-time, and then I would usually work maybe a restaurant job, or I would work at a grocery store bagging groceries for tips. I don't know, I was just working a lot, trying to make money because that's all I knew to do. And at that point, I didn't understand what investing was. So I just basically made a lot of money. And in my mind, I just thought I needed to just save money, which I didn't even do that well. So I'm spending all my money on things that don't really add value, that are either decreasing in monetary value, or they're just stupid things that like I would eventually throw away. I would spend my money on clothes that I was only gonna wear for a year or two and get tired of, and I'm gonna wanna get more clothes. It was just this cycle of making money and having the, I don't know, just sort of this impression that I'm much better off than where I really was because I was able to buy things because I'm actually making money for the first time in my life. So at that point, lifestyle creep really just crept up on me. I was making all of this income, but I was spending it as fast as I could make it. So that was another mistake, is just not really taking all of that extra income. And mind you, at that point, my expenses weren't that high. I didn't have any money to show for at the end of the month. Granted, I wasn't making high salary at my main job, but at that age, with the low amount of expenses that I had, I should have been able to save consistently every month, which I did not do. So I spent money on things that I didn't need, and I didn't save any money. I don't remember a time in my 20s, especially in my lower 20s, let's say, where I had more than $1,000 in a savings account. My next mistake is not getting any financial education. I knew at this point that I was quote unquote adulting. I knew I was on my own. I didn't have to rely on my parents, aside from living in their house, from time to time in my 20s. I didn't really see the value or the importance of actively seeking out financial education, not in a formal setting per se, but more so at this point, the internet was already in full force and I was able to get access to information. I had access to books, but I just never wanted to educate myself. Had I come across the right resources at that time, it could have snapped me out of my negative habit of constantly spending and racking up credit card debt at this point, to really reevaluating how I set up my personal finances. Throughout most of my 20s, I had no idea until I guess the age of 27-ish, around there, where I first came across Dave Ramsey's book, The Total Money Makeover, and I read that. And the great thing about that book, though I don't agree with a lot of Dave Ramsey's, philosophies, there are a lot of practical things that I do agree with. And I think it was perfect for me at the time because he really broke it down into very simple steps, making sure that I saved to have my first $1,000 as an emergency fund, and then also to prioritize getting out of debt. I guess that was a good entryway into the world of personal finances. And then at that point, I realized, you know what? I have an interest in this. I want to learn how to maximize my personal finances. So I started to read books, started to read online blogs, and eventually watch YouTube videos on personal finances. I had a hard time of delaying gratification because, again, I was so used to, at this point, spending money, getting things, not only with the money that I was making, but also on credit. And so now I'm starting to rack up more debt, which means I'm racking up more monthly bills or monthly payments that I have to make. My income that I'm making through the different work that I was doing at the time is starting to get less powerful because more of that is going to paying off debt. So I'm just in this negative spiral, starting to learn a little bit more about money, but just not having the discipline to really snap myself out of it and to make the right choices. So when it comes to investing money, your best friend is gonna be time. And I didn't realize that when I was younger. I didn't realize that had I started investing money, even if it was just like $50 or $100 every paycheck, that I would have been in a much better position now, and I would have had time in the market enough for the money to grow and to compound. If I would have only just invested $100 every paycheck, or even $50 at that point, at that young age, and I would have done that consistently, no matter whether the market was up or down, I would have allowed that portfolio of money to grow over time, and it would have just started to snowball at this point 15, 16 years later. But instead, I was putting my money towards a vehicle that eventually just lost value and broke down, and I have nothing to show for it, and also in credit card debt that was paying creditors instead of myself. Now, that was definitely a big mistake, and that's something that obviously affects me to this day. But the good news is, even though I made all of these mistakes, and I'm sure there are many other mistakes that I haven't even mentioned in this video. I don't want this video to get too long, and I'll probably, mention them over time. But the thing is, even though I made these mistakes, it's never too late. So I was able to turn it around by making a decision to not only educate myself, but to be disciplined, to start tackling that debt head on, and also to figure out a financial plan of putting my money to work. But the point is, I started to get disciplined and realize that yes, I may have wasted my 20s financially, but the next best time to start is right now. So I basically just made a decision to educate myself and to be disciplined in really putting my personal finances first, coming up with a financial plan and strategy, and really executing on it. Now I'm at a point where I can't wait to get money out of my account and to get it into the market and to get it into my cryptocurrency. I just know that on my journey, I have to be okay with the past decisions that I've made. I have to live with it and I have to own it. But the most important thing is I keep my eye on the destination and I keep doing my best to move forward. Will I mess up in the future? Possibly. But if I do, that's okay because I can gain and learn from experience. I can pick myself back up and move forward. And that's my encouragement for everyone watching who might feel like you've made a lot of mistakes financially and you're at the point of no return. I encourage you to realize that you are on a journey and that your journey is not over yet. And there's still ways to get you back on track. Yeah, I think I'm gonna leave it at that. Thank you so much for watching. If you found any value in this video today, it would be extremely helpful if you hit that like button. It'll help the channel out, and as someone who is trying to grow the channel to get the message out to help as many people as possible, that would be very much appreciated. If you haven't subscribed to this channel yet, make sure you hit that subscribe button and click that notification bell for new videos weekly on personal finance and how you can achieve financial independence. I'll see you in the next video. Peace.